King and members of the royal family again walked behind Her Majesty. The Queen Consort, the Princess of Wales, the Duchess of Sussex and the Countess of Wessex, followed by car. The procession, including detachments from the armed forces of the Commonwealth, made its way through Parliament Square. Big Ben tolled throughout the slow march onto Whitehall and past the Cenotaph. The procession then made its way down the Mall, taking the Queen past Buckingham Palace for one final time. At Wellington Arch, the coffin was transferred to the state hearse ahead of its journey to Windsor. And as the procession departed, the parade and the King gave a royal salute as the national anthem was played. Huge crowds lined the 30-mile route to Windsor, applauding and throwing flowers as the procession went by. On arrival in Windsor, the state hearse joined the procession ahead of the journey up the long walk to St George's Chapel. The procession was led by a dismounted attachment of the Household Cavalry, with pipers and drums and a band from the Coldstream Guards. Queen Elizabeth's remaining corgis, Mick and Sandy, waited for the arrival of her funeral procession in Windsor. The dogs will now be cared for by Prince Andrew and his former wife, Sarah, Duchess of York. The King and members of the royal family then joined the procession in the quadrangle at Windsor Castle. Minute guns were fired on the east lawn by the King's Troop Royal Horse Artillery. The procession ended at the bottom of the west steps of St George's Chapel, where the bearer party lifted the coffin from the state hearse and carried it in procession up the west steps. The 1st Battalion Grenadier Guards provided a guard of honour. The King and senior royals followed the coffin inside for the committal service. The Dean of Windsor gave a reading from Revelation 21, verses 1 to 7. The same passage was read at the funerals of the Queen's father, King George VI, in 1952, and her grandparents, King George V in 1936 and Queen Mary in 1953.
I am Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. I will give unto him that is athirst of the fountain of the water of life freely. He that overcometh shall inherit all things, and I will be his God, and he shall be my son.
After the final hymn, the King placed the Queen's Company camp colour of the Grenadier Guards on the coffin.